What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, practicing social distancing, and excited about the 2020 Dallas Cowboys schedule. It was released on Thursday night. That's right. We have known for a long time who the Dallas Cowboys will be playing throughout the 2020 season, that they will obviously be winning the Super Bowl at the end of, but now we officially know the when all of these games will be occurring. Now, many people had been speculating this for a long time, but it is now official. The Dallas Cowboys will be the first regular season game in the new Sofi Stadium in the City of Angels. That's right. The Dallas Cowboys will open their season on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. Very exciting. This kind of felt inevitable. When the Rams first moved back to LA 4 years ago, it was really obvious that Jerry Jones was going to have the Cowboys be the team to kind of set the building up, take the curtains off, let all the lights in. The Cowboys were the first team that the Rams played in their first preseason game. You might remember that back in 2016. Lucky Whitehead returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and a guy named Dak Prescott made his debut to the world, and things have worked out pretty nicely for him ever since. But the Cowboys will be on the road taking on the Rams in week 1. They will return home for their home opener. A lot of people thought this could come against now Jason Garrett's New York Giants. I know he's the offensive coordinator, etc., but it will actually come against the Atlanta Falcons. The Cowboys will open their home season up against Atlanta, and Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then in week 3, when the Cowboys do play in Seattle, these games tend to be September, October. They're either week 2-ish or kind of week 6, 7, 8-ish, but the Cowboys will be on the road taking on the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson, who was definitely in the MVP running last year, in week 3, and that will not be easy. No. This is probably the toughest game to start the season for the Dallas Cowboys, the first, of their first 3 games. But then things, that's kind of what I like about this schedule, because after the Cowboys go to Seattle in week 3, they return home in week 4 to take on the Cleveland Browns. Of course, Baker Mayfield was the number 1 overall pick in the 2018 NFL draft, a draft that was held at AT&T Stadium where this game will be playing. The Browns obviously have Odell Beckham Jr., and so he'll be returning to AT&T Stadium for the first time since playing there with the New York Giants. And I love these first 4 games for the Cowboys. No game in the NFL is easy, don't get me wrong, but these are 4 non-division games. These are 4 games that come against 3 teams that are a little bit weaker in the Rams, Falcons, and Browns. So they kind of set the Cowboys up to build a nice cushion, and I think that's important because after that is probably the most important 5-week stretch of the season for the Dallas Cowboys. After they play the Cleveland Browns at home, it should be mentioned that that game will be on Fox, and that's an important detail we'll get to in a second. In week 5, the Dallas Cowboys will host the New York Giants. Now, typically, Cowboys-Giants is either played on Sunday Night Football, which is on NBC, or an afternoon game on Fox. That's the way Cowboys and Giants has been for like 500 years. But not this year. No. Cowboys-Giants in week 5 will be played in the afternoon at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. However, this game will be on CBS. This is very rare. If you don't really understand these details of the NFL and broadcasting, the general rule of thumb is that AFC teams are on CBS and NFC teams are on Fox. Now, when the Cowboys, an NFC team, travel, think about when they went to Pittsburgh 4 years ago, those games are on Fox. The broadcast goes with the traveling team. So if the Cowboys go on the road to play an AFC team, it is typically a Fox broadcast. That's why the week 4 game, when Cleveland is visiting the Dallas Cowboys, that should generally be a CBS game by rule of thumb, but it is on Fox. And 1 week later, Cowboys-Giants is on CBS. That is very rare. That never happens. So Cowboys-Giants will be called by Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson, the first Tony Romo game of 2020 for the Dallas Cowboys. But if you're into broadcast networks and things like that, week 6 is very exciting for the Dallas Cowboys as they will host the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football. The Cowboys and Cardinals, of course, clashed on Monday Night Football back in 2017. That was in the aftermath of the political discussions and issues surrounding the NFL. And the Cowboys won that game. Des Bryant had a heroic touchdown. Bryce Butler had a great game. And so hopefully the Cowboys can take on Kyler Murray and his new toy, DeAndre Hopkins, and have success on Monday Night Football. We don't even know who's going to call that game. That's the way Monday Night Football's been for who knows how long. But after that, the Cowboys will play 2 road games in the NFC NFC East. In Week 7, they will be on the road taking on Ron Rivera's Washington Redskins, their first look at Rivera running that franchise. And the following week, their biggest game of the season to this point, they will be on the road in the city of not-so-brotherly love for them, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This division, the NFC East, of course, is going to come down to the Cowboys and Eagles. So Week 8 will be the first installment. That game will be the second time the Cowboys play on Sunday Night Football, as this one is on NBC with Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, and Michelle Tafoya. Now, Week 9, 1 week later, the Cowboys will return home to AT&T Stadium, and they will host the other team from Pennsylvania. You know, Mike McCarthy, once upon a time, had some serious success in his new home stadium. It was Cowboys Stadium back in January and February-ish of 2011 when Mike McCarthy's Green Bay Packers beat the Pittsburgh Steelers to win a Super Bowl. Now, Mike McCarthy's Dallas Cowboys will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in AT&T Stadium in Week 9, and it will be a lot of fun. And after that, the Cowboys are probably going to be exhausted because you think about that 5-week stretch. New York Giants at home, Arizona Cardinals at home, on the road in Washington, on the road in Philly, Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Goodness gracious. So the Cowboys are going to have a bye in Week 10. That's right, Week 10, double digits the Cowboys have to make it to. And when they come out of that, Week 11, the Dallas Cowboys will be on the road in Minnesota taking on the Vikings and Mike Zimmer and having all sorts of fun there. And that's an important thing because that game, Week 11's game against Minnesota, is taking place Sunday, November 22nd. What is important about Sunday, November 22nd? It is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. That's right. That is always an important day for the Cowboys because they have to turn around very quickly to get ready to play on Turkey Day. And this season, the Dallas Cowboys will be hosting their division rival, the Washington Redskins, on Thanksgiving Day, like they did in 2018, like they did in 2016. Odds are, if it is an even year, the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Redskins will be playing football while you have a lot of tryptophan in your system. And after that, you know, we've seen the Cowboys play on Thursday Night Football 7 days after Thanksgiving for some time, several years in a row to this point, and this year will be no different. The Dallas Cowboys will be on the road taking on the reigning MVP, Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens in Week 13. That game will, of course, be on Thursday Night Football, and it's worth mentioning that the Minnesota game in Week 11 for the Dallas Cowboys is at 3:25 p.m. Central Time. That game is on Fox. It's typically America's game of the week. Week 12, the Thanksgiving Day game, is on Fox. Week 13, the Thursday Night Football game, is on Fox. That means 3 weeks in a row, it is very likely that Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews will be calling Dallas Cowboys games, so I hope that is your favorite broadcast because you are going to be seeing them a lot. Now, following their game in Baltimore, the Dallas Cowboys will have another road game against an AFC North team. They will take on now number 1 overall pick Joe Burrow and his Cincinnati Bengals. It will, of course, be a homecoming of sorts for Andy Dalton. Maybe he'll get in the game when the Cowboys are up 55-0 in the fourth quarter. So we'll see. But you know what? I really love this because typically the games following Thanksgiving are tough. They're tough because you are operating on different times, different logistics, different days, different schedules than you're normally used to. And the Cowboys, their first game after Thanksgiving, they go to Baltimore 7 days later. And then they get that little mini bye and they go to Cincinnati. Now, I'm not saying that the Cowboys should lose any game. I'm not advocating that losing any game is a good thing. But if you have to lose 2 games, you want them to be to AFC teams if you are the Dallas Cowboys. And I like this because it sets the Cowboys up for perhaps their more important closing stretch with regards to the 5-week stretch they had early on in the season. After the Cowboys go to Baltimore and Cincinnati in Week 15, they return home for a Sunday night football date against the reigning NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. So if the Cowboys need those Ravens and Bengals games to kind of, get some weird things out of their system, they have to be dialed in by Week 15 because the 49ers are going to give them their very best. At this point, there's no doubt the playoff spots are going to be on the line. Remember that the NFL did add an extra wild card spot to both conferences, so who knows how things are going to be looking at this point in the season. But after that, it does not get easier because after the Cowboys host the 49ers on Sunday Night Football, they host the Philadelphia Eagles. That is the last game for the calendar year of 2020. It is possible that the NFC East is on the line at this point in time. If you'll remember, the Cowboys and Eagles had a huge game that went down to the wire 2 years ago in 2018 when Amari Cooper caught the game-winning touchdown pass. They blew out the Eagles in 2019. You can bet that this game is going to be a lot of fun and going to be very stressful, and we're going to have a very good time with it. The Cowboys will close the regular season on the road against the New York Giants, just like they did in 2018. So there's some good vibes, some good repetitive history going on there. Remember, Jason Garrett's New York Giants. So it'll be fun. I love this schedule for the Cowboys. Again, I think the most important stretch is from weeks 5 through week 9, and I think that weeks 15 and 16 are going to be kind of the cherry on top of what's important. So I like that little break that they kind of get around Thanksgiving, not exactly a break, but close enough to call it one. So we have the schedule available for you at bloggingtheboys.com and on our social channels if you want to go check it out for yourself. We're going to be talking about it a lot in the coming days and be talking about the Dallas Cowboys forever. So make sure you subscribe right here to the official Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you check out bloggingtheboys.com while you're subscribing to stuff. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast feed. We're available wherever you get podcasts. And do us one more favor, all right? Have the absolute best day of all time. You know why? Because you deserve it. We'll see you next time.